Well, Germany says it's suspending military exports to Israel in response to Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to take over Gaza City. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced that Germany would suspend the approval of arms deliveries to Israel that could be used in the Gaza Strip. Germany is the second largest supplier of weapons to Israel. Merz said he is deeply concerned about the continued suffering of Palestinians and said the release of the Israeli hostages and negotiations for a ceasefire are Germany's top priorities. The decision by Israel has prompted criticism from international leaders. Taking control of Gaza City is likely to be the first phase of a full takeover of the territory. Meanwhile, Gazans said they fear more destruction and displacement, while others remain defiant. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from London by the international affairs analyst, Dr. Marek Laskiewicz. Marek, glad to have you join us. What are the short and long-term implications of the fallout of this meeting?
Well, the short-term ones are already pretty serious. That Germany feels confident enough to suspend exports of arms to Israel, which would previously have immediately brought forth accusations of that they carried out the Holocaust and so on, that they're being anti-Semitic, shows the strength of the world feeling and how confident Germany is now to be able to do this. It shows that Israel is increasingly isolated except for support from America. And this plan in particular simply will seal this isolation. So that's one short-term aspect. The longer-term aspect is that Israel, in effect, is setting out its own vision of what the future will be. And since there's no negotiation on this vision by the Palestinians, it is, of course, a type of diktat. It's not even clear with whom Israel will be agreeing this agreement, because agreeing with America is simply agreeing with itself, because America is on Israel's side. So the situation from this point of view is that Israel is going to go ahead with this plan, as far as can be said, which is its plan, period, and Gaza's got nothing to say of it. As for the Gazans, it promises to be an extremely unpleasant time, probably far more destruction, far more deaths. It's not clear what's going to happen to the hostages either, because previously when Israel has inadvertently come across hostages, they've been killed rather than hand them over live to Israel. 6 of them so perished, unfortunately, previously. And therefore, it's not clear this is going to help those hostages which are alive. As for the destruction of Hamas, Hamas is simply, if you were, an idea of representing freedom for the Palestinians. And therefore, the problem is that even if Hamas were to cease to exist in name, that doesn't mean to say some other organization would be set up almost immediately in its place. And so therefore, it would appear to be further misery for the Gazans. It's hard to see how Israel intends to win on this point. Hopefully, and this is one aspect which has to be added, Israel has stated there should be more aid forthcoming, and this would be very, very pleasant news indeed for the Gazans, about the only good news they've heard.
What are you reading into Hamas's statement that this is a full-fledged war crime with a high cost? Will ICC step in, interpret that phrase, high cost?
High cost, I interpret as they're talking militarily, that some Israeli soldiers will die as a result of in attacking this last area, if you like. And that I read it. Actually, the high cost in diplomatic terms may be far more serious to Israel. I don't think this is what Hamas has in mind, but that is very serious. It is now becoming increasingly clear that nation after nation is condemning Israel for this, and that therefore the pressure to save Gazans and to set up a second a Palestinian state may well come as a result of international pressure. Already Netanyahu, as I've stated, was prepared to send in more aid because of all this criticism. And therefore, this is the actual high cost, although I don't think that's what the Hamas had in mind. They were talking about a military cost.
All right. What do you make of this phased plan to evacuate Gaza City by October 7?
Well, it's just more misery for the Gazans. One does suspect, unfortunately, that Israel still has this plan about the so-called open inverted commas, voluntary, close inverted commas, emigration by Gazans, because that's what Netanyahu's allies are still advocating. And therefore, what is happening is this may well be a plan to further try to break the Gazan spirit and to make them consider voluntarily leaving their homeland. As such, it's unlikely to succeed, but that would appear to be at least one strand in the thinking. The notion that people will be moved yet again, of course, and see more destruction is very upsetting for Gazans there. But this plan has one key flaw. It hinges on America. And will America support this? Please note, America is now engaging in other tariff negotiations, and therefore, does it really want to support a plan which is condemned by very many nations, including some of its key allies like England, Great Britain, and France? And therefore, the notion of clearing out everybody by October the 7th may well, as a result of this problem for America, not come to pass. But there is quite clearly now a plan on the table by Israel, yes.
An attempt to stop aid distribution to force Palestinians out of their land. Is that even possible?
It is certainly possible. The weaponizing aid or controlling the amount of food has been done most notoriously by the Germans. It's not very well known that the people in the Jewish ghetto, before they were actually sent to their deaths in places like Auschwitz, the Jews had very, very low food rations, to the point where many of them were starving and so-called diseases. And so it certainly is possible. It has been done before in world history. So weaponizing aid, which is what Israel has been accused of, is not unknown, but it is extremely unpleasant. Moreover, here comes the key point. Technically, as far as I know, it will be a war crime. And therefore, this really would be a very heavy blow to Israel, because after all, it is still stating that in the Holocaust, the Jews suffered, which indeed they did. Please let us remember, 6 million of them died, were murdered by the Germans. But they are certainly pressing and causing vast suffering on the Gazans simultaneously. And if, as a result of reducing or not allowing aid into the Gaza City, Gazans die either directly through famine or indirectly through disease, this will be an extreme blow to Israel's image, and will certainly be a problem for even America to support.
We'll see how events play out in the coming days. International analyst speaking to us from London, Dr. Marek Laskiewicz. Thank you so much.